What if I told you that in a span of 6 months, I increased my prices 5x from $3,000 to $15,000 without losing any clients and without lowering my close rate? Here's the thing, raising your prices isn't just about making more per client. It's actually the fastest way to scale your business without working more hours or hiring a bigger team. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it and more importantly, how you can too. Now, when it comes to raising your prices, you really need to take 3 key steps. The first is to create what I like to call a golden gap in your offer. A golden gap is when there is a 4x to a 100x difference between how much you're charging for something, aka the price, and the perceived value to your prospects. So for example, if you charge, let's say, $1,000 for something, you want that thing to be perceived as worth $4,000 to $100,000 to your prospects. Now, the most important word here is perceived, meaning that it doesn't matter how much you think your offer is worth, your prospects need to think it is worth that. There's a very famous saying, which is reality is not reality, perception is reality. So if somebody doesn't see it as worth $50,000, then it is not worth $50,000. That is a key thing I want you to take home here, because a lot of you say, oh, Ravi, I already have a golden gap in your offer, but I can't raise my prices and I can't increase my close rates. And quite frankly, it's probably because you don't have a golden gap. Now, there's one caveat to this, which is that you need to make sure that even if you do have the golden gap, that you're actually illustrating to your prospects the value of that golden gap. You're showing them why it's worth that amount, which is actually what I'm going to cover in the next 2 steps here in just a moment. But if you're looking at your offer right now and you're saying, how do I make my offer worth way more? Well, there's 2 words I want you to add to your offer vocabulary, and that is what else. Anytime I am creating presentations, anytime I'm creating pitches, anytime I'm creating offers, and I know the core thing I am offering is this thing here, let's say X, then I'm always asking myself, what else could I offer my prospects that would make this so much more valuable, that would make it so much easier, that would cut the time down from them starting this and seeing the transformation, that would cut down the sacrifices, the things that they would have to do. So I'm always saying, what else, what else, what else? And as I'm going to talk about here in a moment, I'm actually going to show you a presentation I did where I made over $1 million in less than an hour. And in that presentation, it was an hour-long presentation. The first 30 minutes of it, I just kept on saying, what else, what else, what else? And I would show them, okay, not only am I going to do this, but I asked myself, what else do you need? And I said this, and I asked myself, what else do you need? And I said this, and I kept on stacking and stacking and stacking to the point that they were like, oh my God, they were so overwhelmed with the value. And so what else is a really powerful phrase to ask yourself, because it's what your prospects are going to be thinking of as well. If they do this for me, I also have to go and figure out how to do this. And if they do that for me, I also got to go and figure out how to do that. And so you can handle some of that and make your offer worth way more if you're able to add on to your current offer by making like really, really easy connections between what you're offering and what they want in your offering as well. So let's give a few examples to really drive this home. So let's say, for example, that you generate leads for real estate agents. Let's say you're an advertising agency. Well, you could say, hey, we're going to generate you 100 qualified leads for your real estate business this month. But then I said, well, what else could I offer them? What else could I do that would help them not only generate leads, but turn those leads into showings? And that's why I decided to actually set up an in-house call center that's going to call, text, and email those leads for you 12 times in 5 days. That way you're ensuring that every single lead turns into a qualified showing. But that's not all. I said, okay, what if they get a qualified showing, but they don't actually close the deal? So I said, what else could I do for them? Well, what I decided to do was actually get together 2 of my best clients I've had for the past 2 years who have closed literally tens of millions of dollars in commissions between the both of them. And they're going to get on a call every single week and coach you on how to close deals from leads that come from paid traffic, right? And so, oh wow, so not only am I getting the leads that I already thought was worth, let's say, $4,000, but now I'm gonna be getting this call center that's gonna come in and call these leads for me, which if I hired this person in-house, that would cost me $5,000 a month, so now it's $9,000. And then not only that, but now I'm going to get on a call with a real estate expert, someone who's actually going through this process right now and closing tens of millions of dollars. So that could be worth another $5,000. And now all of a sudden we went from $4,000 to $15,000 in the value of your offer. Now, Some of you might be looking at me and saying, oh, Ravi, but that's going to be harder to do. That's going to mean I have to get a call center, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely. Yes, it is. But the whole point here is that let's say that your cost originally was $500, and now because you have to pay the real estate coach and you have to pay, let's say, the call center, now your cost 3x's and it goes to $1,500. Okay, so wow, now I just lowered some of my profit margin. Well, because you're now worth 15x, you can now charge something like $8,000. And 8,000 minus 1,500 is going to be $6,500. So now you're netting $6,500 per client instead of netting just $1,000 or $2,000, right? So that's the power of arbitrage. That's the power of figuring out how can I combine all this stuff together. And even though it might raise my costs slightly, I can make it worth so much more, 5, 10, 15 times in the prospect's eyes, and then I'm gonna walk away with more profit. Now, the final piece of the golden gap here, and the thing that we do really well for our clients, and the thing that if you get down, you actually won't have to see any increase in costs, is if you can figure out how to deliver something for them that adds that value that costs you absolutely nothing. So I'm going to give you a quick example of what that looks like. For one of our products, it's called Scaling School. It's a membership site. I share everything that I've learned scaling to over $25 million online. When someone signs up for Scaling School for $97, they're taken to a thank you page, and it's called a one-time offer page. And on that page, I say, hey, you just bought the monthly, but on this page and this page alone, you can upgrade to the annual plan for $873. And if you upgrade, not only am I going to give you 3 months for free, but on top of that, you're going to get instant access to every mastermind that I've ever recorded with my $50,000 a year clients. And so I have now created this huge value add where they don't have to spend $50,000. They actually are going to spend less than even the annual plan of the membership because I'm giving them 3 months free, and they can get access to literally hundreds of hours of recordings of some of my most cutting edge, best content that I've ever created, and that'll never be uploaded to YouTube. And because of that, we have a really high take rate, about a 20% take rate of people that buy the monthly, buy the annual. And the best part about that, it doesn't cost me a dime. I'm already hosting these masterminds multiple times a year with my $50,000 clients because that's part of the delivery that we give to them. And we record all of those, and so I just give a digital delivery to these people. But people see an immense amount of value inside of that. And so I've essentially taken something that I already had that was an asset somewhere, and in some cases it could even be argued that it was a liability because it had this cost to it, because I had to host the event, get the food, all the speakers, et cetera, et cetera. And now I've transitioned it to a totally 100% pure profit way of increasing my average order value when people become students of ours, clients of ours, inside of our membership site, Scaling School. So if you can figure out how do I value stack these things, not only in ways that the perceived value increases, but I can increase the perceived value with almost no increase in cost, now you're talking about taking your business and being able to 5x to even 15x the bottom line profit with almost no additional work on your end. Okay, so now that you understand how the golden gap works and you're going to set it up inside of your business, let's move on to the second step. And how do we make sure that our prospects can understand how much value we're really providing? The issue here is that most people, whenever they create that golden gap and they have all this value, they just kind of throw up on the sales call or in their video sales or in their marketing message, and they say, oh, you get all this, you get all this. Like, oh my God, we're the best in the world. Well, I love when people say that. Oh, we're the best in the world. We care about our clients like everybody else isn't saying the exact same freaking thing, right? So you need to be able to actually showcase, how actually reveal to your prospects beyond a shadow of a doubt that what you're saying, the value you're offering them is worth so much more than you're charging. And there's only one way to do that. But before I show you how to do that, I want to illustrate this point by taking us back, let's say to 1956, 1957, where a study was done revealing something very interesting. You see, this study got together two groups of people. One they're calling amateurs, which was a group of about 50 business school students, and the others was experts. And this was a group of 50 real estate professionals, where they had literally bought and sold millions of dollars worth of houses. These were real estate agents, real estate brokers, these were appraisers, people who should know everything there is about real estate listings. And what they did is they took these group of people to multiple homes in the Arizona area. there. And they walked into the home and they said, I want you to decide, what is this house worth? Based on your experience, your expertise, what you know about houses, the houses that you've lived in, and I'm going to give you this pamphlet of information that can help you out. It's going to show you a little bit about the neighborhood. It's going to show you a little bit about the quality of the stuff inside the house. But most importantly, it's going to show the listing price, what this house is actually listed at. Now, the most important thing about the study was that the listing price was inaccurate. It was fake. They would literally put a listing price that was hundreds of thousands of dollars off what the actual house was worth, because they needed to prove something, which I'm going to get to here in a moment. And so what they figured out was between both the amateurs and the experts, they were never more than just a few $1,000s off whatever they said the listing price was. So they took them to one home, they said it was worth $119,000. The amateurs said it was worth $107,000. The experts said it was worth $111,000. They took them to another home, they said it was $139,000. Well, the amateurs said $123,000 and the experts said $124,000. And so in these instances here, even though technically speaking these houses were worth way more money or way less money depending on how they did it, the experts and the amateurs were both basing it off of whatever they said the listing price was. And what they confirmed in this study is something that is now known as the anchor bias. And what the anchor bias means is that if you give somebody a number before you reveal what the price is going to be, they are anchored in that number, and every comparison they make to whatever number you give them is going to be to that original number. So for example, if I say, hey, I'm going to sell you this home and it's actually listed for $149,000, but you can have it today for $120,000. Well, they are going to think that the house is worth $149,000, quite frankly, because I told them. Not because they're experts and they know everything about anything, literally just because I told them it was worth that amount of money. And so then when I go to sell something for $120,000, all of a sudden it's a steal. They're saving $30,000 on that home price. So how does this apply to you and when you're pitching your offers? Well, in both your marketing material and in your sales pitch, if you are not using this anchor bias, then you are leaving it up to the prospects to decide what something is worth. So for example, if you try to say earlier that in that example I gave that you're going to call every single lead for your prospects and set them on the calendar, well, they may think, well, I could just get somebody on Upwork in order to do that, and they would just charge me, I don't know, $5 an hour, so that thing is worth, let's just say, $100. But actually, they don't understand that you're using US-based people, they're experts, they get trained on every single day, there's quality control, if one of them gets sick, you replace them with the other one, and so it's actually worth closer to $3,000, and if you had somebody in-house do it, it would be closer to $6,000 in order to do it. So do you see the difference in these prices here, $100 to $3,000 or $6,000? That's a huge difference, especially if you're trying to increase your prices. And so you don't ever want to leave it up to the prospect to decide how much something is worth. You want to show them that it is worth this amount of money. Now, as I'm going to show you in just one moment here, you can't be insane with it. You can't say that an hour of a call with you is worth $500,000. Nobody's going to believe that. But if you can say an hour of a call, for example, with me, I charge $5,000 for an hour of my time. Now, some of you might be scoffing at that right now because I get that all the time. But what if I told you that I literally have had over 200 people pay for just 1 hour of my time at $5,000 an hour? And what if I actually showed you screenshots of my Stripe account showing those $5,000 one-on-one calls? What if I showed you 20 of them? Would you believe that my time was worth $5,000 an hour? Absolutely you would. And actually, I just did a pitch at an event that I had recently where I gave an hour of my time, and I don't usually do it, and I showed them that it was worth $5,000, and I showed them screenshots in my Stripe account of people paying me $5,000. So I can really solidify, hey, you might think that an hour with me is worth, I don't know, whatever you want to say, $500, but I'm actually proving to you that it's worth $5,000 because this is how many other people have paid for it as well. So now that you know what anchor bias is, now that we understand, okay, in order to create that golden gap, I can't just say it's worth this amount. I literally need to tell my prospects what amount it's worth and break it down for them. Let me actually drive this point home by showing you an example of an offer that I created when I made $1 million in about 60 minutes, okay? So this is pulled directly from that presentation that I did here. And as you can see, I'm gonna go through two areas here. There's really two parts to this offer. The first part is when I'm saying what I'm gonna do for them. So I'm saying you get lifetime access, you get mastermind recordings, you get 30 coaching calls, you get another mastermind that you get to attend. So I'm showing them all the things they do. What else? What else? What else? That's the golden gap, right? I'm showing them all the value. But on top of that, what I'm doing is I'm giving them the price that these things would be worth if they try to find this same solution elsewhere, okay? So I'm saying it's $18,000, $25,000, $25,000, $25,000. And so by doing that, I'm creating an anchor price in their mind. They all know what's happening because I work with typically, marketers, that people that understand what this is, but just because they know what's happening, like I showed you earlier with those experts, those amateurs, doesn't mean they can stop the anchor bias from happening. Because I know a lot of you, when you see something like this, you feel cheesy. You feel like a little bit almost slimy. I've heard some people say when they're doing this stuff. But the problem is that if you don't do it, you're relying on your prospect to do it on their own. Because every single person, whenever they buy something, they are always comparing, if I spent this money here, could I better spend it elsewhere? Whether it has to do with the same offer, let's say if I was buying ads here, what if I bought it here? Or could be like, what if I just instead, went on a vacation with my family or bought that engagement ring for my wife? What of a million different things they could do with those thousands of dollars? And so you need to show them that actually this is the best opportunity that you're gonna have to spend that money because it's gonna be worth so much more. And let me kind of drive this home again here. So one example of this is 6 months of 5 times a week implementation calls that we do with our clients. And if I don't give them a price, they might think, oh, this is probably just some VA that he has I'm going to get on a call with and I'm going to talk to. But actually, every single one of those calls is either with me or one of our client success managers who's been trained by me for over 2 years, has served literally hundreds of clients individually each, and used to have their own 6 or 7 figure business themselves. And they all have above a, let's say, 8.5 out of 10 rating on our NPS score for our client satisfaction scores. And so if I show them that, instead of them thinking that, oh, maybe that price is worth, let's say, I don't know, $500, I am showing them that actually it's worth $25,000. Another great example of this, and this is actually directly from this presentation, is I said, hey, in this offer, you're going to get instant access to my 8-figure team. So you're going to get access to my client success director, my sales director, all of these people here. And I actually showed them a screenshot of my payroll. I showed them what I pay every single month. And I was paying over $230,000 a month at that time for my entire team. And so I was saying, hey, you're going to get access to my team. And if you went out there and you wanted to pay this same amount of money, or you wanted to get access to this same amount of people, you'd have to be paying $230,000 a month, okay? So if this is 6 months, then I can say 6 times 2, and I get $1.2 million that they'd have to spend in order to get access to the same people here. So you can see how very quickly, not only can I raise the perceived value, but I can justify it and anchor that price point in their mind so that when I drop the price point at the very end, which I did for this offer, it was $50,000. It's a total no-brainer because I think when I was done with everything, it was worth like $1.5 million, something like that. I forgot what it was worth. So then I can get that, I don't know what this is, maybe a 30x, I think, return on these two things here. Then when I say it's worth a 30x return, they actually believe what I'm saying. Okay, before we move on to the next point, let's recap really quickly. You've created a golden gap in your offer in order to make the perceived value of what you're offering 5x to 100x higher than what the price is. And then we're working on creating anchoring and value stacks to show them that if they went and they tried to pay for this somewhere else, it would cost them way more than if they just said yes today. Well, there's one more thing that we need to do here in order to secure this price change that you want to make. And it's actually the thing that's allowed me to regularly charge anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 when working with my prospects. And here's a screenshot of a wire we got literally just the other day of over almost $60,000 of someone coming in and working with us. And the main thing that most people are missing when they're trying to raise their prices is trust. They're missing a huge, massive, disgusting amount of trust with their prospects before they get on the sales call. Because even if you do step number 1 and step number 2 correctly, even if you show them that this is going to be worth $500,000 and you're only charging $5,000, if they don't actually believe in the words that you're saying and that you can deliver on what you're promising in this value stack, in this anchoring, then they're not going to buy from you, right? If you had some shady person that's wearing an overcoat in an alleyway somewhere that's walking through the exact same presentation that I did in this event, I very much searched out that they'd make $1 million because people don't trust that person. No offense if you're watching this and you're in an alleyway wearing an overcoat right now, but I think you get the idea of what I'm saying. So trust is the magical ingredient here, where without this, it won't work. And a great sign of you having low trust with your prospects before they get on the sales call is when you have an empty calendar, okay? Also, when you have low show rates, when you have low quality leads, and when you have low close rates. These are all areas that you are that shows that you have low trust with your prospects. Another really great example in the theme of this video is if no matter what you do, you can't seem to raise prices with your prospects. And so you might think at this point, oh, Ravi, I need to lower my prices, but I can tell you that after working with thousands of businesses and scaling my own company to over $25 million, lowering your price is almost never the answer, okay? Instead, we should seek to raise the prices, and in order to do that, we have to build trust in the marketplace. According to the General Social Survey, which is the longest trust study done in the world, we're at the lowest point of person-to-person trust in the last 40 years. So you're kind of battling against this huge wave right now. But don't worry, because there is a solution, and this is the third step that I think you need to do in this process if you're looking to raise your prices. And the only way to battle trust in today's day and age is by creating content. And I know, now don't just jump out here and say, oh, this is a video about content, I gotta dance and give everything away. Let me explain here, okay? Content is the cure to low trust, because Google came out with a study a few years ago, and they revealed that on average, it takes 7 hours of content to turn a stranger to a buyer. 7 hours of content. So what you're dealing with right now is not having enough exposure, not having your prospects consume enough content before they get on the call. Because if they consumed multiple hours of content with you before they got on the call, and if you were able to create a golden gap and you were able to show that golden gap, that perceived value, you should have no problem having 80% show up rates and 40% close rates and a disgustingly profitable business. But I would imagine that a lot of you don't have that right now. And it's probably because you're not having your prospects consume enough content before they get on the call. Now, there's multiple ways that you can create content, but for me, it's through this medium right here, this method right here, which is very simple, ugly YouTube videos. I've actually been posting these kinds of videos for the past couple of years. I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and I have almost 100,000 subscribers right now. But more important than all of that is actually on YouTube, we generate literally multiple qualified book calls every single day from videos that I posted literally years ago. And almost more important than that is that last quarter, 1 out of every 2 deals that we took in came from YouTube. 1 out of every 2 deals came from YouTube. So if you do YouTube correctly, not only can it act as a new way for you to bring prospects and clients into your pipeline and into your offer, your program, your service, but even more important than that, it can build an immense amount of trust with your prospects that are already on your email list, that already know who you are, that have seen your ad somewhere, and they can build up that trust before they get on the call, thus being way more likely to buy what you're selling, even if you increase the prices. Now, this video, it would be way out of scope if I covered everything on YouTube that I needed to cover to show you, which is why we created something that we call the YouTube Lead Machine. And you can get instant access to it below for literally just a couple of dollars. And in that, I give you the exact system that we use to generate dozens of high-ticket clients every single month from YouTube. I show you how to create the thumbnails correctly. I show you how to script the videos. I show you even our easy rank keyword tool that shows you how you can place your videos inside the buyer algorithm on YouTube, so it shows only to the most qualified people possible. And you can get access to that entire thing for just a couple of dollars down below.